Hello everybody, welcome back to the Clay Cat Show. I'm going to be doing a drift tune tutorial for you guys. I know that a lot of people have been wondering how I build my tunes, so I'm going to go through every aspect of the tuning process as well as doing the upgrade for the vehicle itself. This portion of the video is only going to be focusing on the upgrades for the vehicle itself. A lot of people have been requesting the BMW M3, the 2005 model. So I'm going to go ahead and tune this. Now, in saying that, this tune is not my tune, my tune that I put up on my storefront all the time. What this tune is just basically going to show you the principles of how to get your vehicle to drift, okay? So, first things first, go to the upgrade shop, custom upgrade, because we always want to upgrade our cars, right? First thing I do is I always go to conversion. I go to the conversion setting, and the V8 in this one actually has a worse horsepower to torque ratio, but not as bad as the rest. Okay, so if you look at this, it says 510 to 457. Normally the V8 is 415 to 415, which puts it at a perfect horsepower to torque, foot-pounds of torque ratio. You want to keep your car as balanced as possible, in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and just put the V8 in there anyway. We'll throw the twin turbos in there. Yeah, put the twin turbos are less weight. So we're going to go with the twin turbos. Body kits. Put a rocket body kit on it, I guess. Yeah, we'll do that. Alright, got to make it look cool if we're going to build a drift car, right? So next is the aerodynamics. You got the Rocket Bunny spoiler. I don't personally like spoilers on my vehicles. Unfortunately, there's a mini one that comes with the car stock, so we're just going to leave that. Rims. It doesn't really matter what type of rims you put on it as long as you don't increase the tire size that much, because what happens is the rims make it a stiffer ride the more you increase the size of them. And I like to keep my tunes really soft. Each person has their own personal preference, but I like soft suspension because it allows me to ride over the curbs. So in saying that, I'm going to go with sport tire because heaven forbid I put race tires on this. Y'all will shoot me just because of how everyone hates sport tires. I'm actually going to widen the tires all the way up to the max because I like having a lot of compound on the road. Of course, we're going to put the race clutch in. We're going to put the race transmission in. We're going to put the drivetrain in that lightens up the vehicle just ever so slightly. You want to put the two-way differential in there. That's a definite. Hopping over to the suspension, we're going to want to put brakes on it. I like to personally put the rally suspension because it keeps the ride height real high. The suspension's already really soft, so whenever you're hitting curbs and stuff as you're drifting through the city, or even whenever you get out into the dirt, what ends up happening is your tires go over top of the curb and it barely even makes your car move because the bump is your suspension's so loose. So it also helps with the body roll while you're drifting. So put your roll bars all the way to race. That way you can actually adjust them. Depending on what the vehicle is, as far as weight distribution to the front, see it's at 51%. This doesn't really make a difference in that, so I'm not going to do it. Some cars it will make a difference. So I'm just going to leave that as normal. I like to put my weight reductions on any of my cars. The lighter the car, the better the horsepower can push it. So then we're going to go into the motor. I personally avoid putting in the cam because the cam separates the horsepower and torque ratio, which makes it an unbalanced car. I like putting exhaust pipes on it because it lightens up the vehicle while doing horsepower and torque upgrades. And normally the horsepower and torque on those upgrades at the same rate. So if you look at this one, just to put this in perspective, 691, 619, and then you've got barely any torque moved, but horsepower jumped almost 50. You get what I'm saying? There's a big difference. Or jumped 56. So this one, horse and torque, jump at the same rate about. So I'll upgrade that. Same for this. Same for this. And same for this. It adds weight. And the weight's toward the front, which is fine with me. But I don't need 876 horsepower. We'll just do the Sport Twin Turbo. Actually, you know what? Probably don't even need the twin turbo on this. I like to do high horsepower vehicles. You can do the same exact tuning style on a low horsepower vehicle as long as you keep the horse to torque ratio the same. Okay, so I'll do a low horsepower video on upgrade tutorial or tutorials later. So we've got our vehicle. It's all upgraded, and I'm going to install it. Cool, 77K, doesn't really matter that much. That's great. All right, so here's the next mistake that most beginners make when it comes to drifting. Let's go ahead and head out of here, and we'll go onto the street, and I'm going to show you the next mistake that most beginner drifters make. So go to your difficulty settings. Traction control and stability control need to be off. Okay? They just need to be off. Otherwise, you're not going to get any wheel spin, and your car is not going to do a burnout or anything. It's just going to, you might get a little bit of burnout out of it, but once traction control starts to work, it applies the brake to keep the wheels from slipping, and that's just what it's designed to do. So take traction control and stability off. I like running with a manual with a clutch. I also like running ABS off. So here's the next mistake that most beginner drifters do. If you're drifting on a controller, leave your steering on normal. If you're drifting on a steering wheel, that's when you put it on simulation, okay, guys? So just to put that at bay right there, make this real simple for you guys. This is my setup for whenever I'm drifting. And then the next thing is you notice that I play with a clutch. So if you look here, I actually switched the e-brake and clutch. So my clutch is next to my shift up and shift down, so all I have to do is press A and B to shift up at the same time, and A and X at the same time to shift down. And my e-brake is right above my brake, my normal brake. That's how I drive. So that's how I use a clutch. Another common thing that I get asked a lot is, how do you drift over the hood? Well, whenever I'm over the hood, I'm going to attempt to drift this car with no tune, so we'll see how well this works. I like to point the nose of my car right at, ooh, man, I almost crashed, at the apex of the turn. So, to put this into perspective for you guys, so that you know what the apex is, if you don't know what the apex is, if I was to be going around this turn right here, I would point my hood, even if I'm right here, I would put my hood at the apex. The apex is the part of the turn that's the outermost to the road. This is the furthest end point of the turn itself. So right here at this angle, this would be the apex. And that's where I always point my hood. And that's how you keep a drift going for the most part. Now you can push further than the apex, but I like to keep my hood pointing at the apex. See how I'm keeping it pointed at the apex? And I drifted that just fine. And this car has no tune on it, just upgrades. See? That's all it takes. So, in the next video, we'll go over tuning and what each component of tuning does for your vehicle. And we'll make this car to where it's more slippery or more grippy. It all just depends on how I tune it and what you guys really want to know as far as the tuning goes. And don't be afraid to leave comments asking me about it. I'll tell you guys any question that you have, I'll answer it. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate off the drifting community because a lot of people disagree with my methods to drifting. Oh my goodness, traffic is so terrible right now. But I'm going to go outside the vehicle for you just to show you that I am drifting. I'm not pushing angle because, like I said, I like to keep my hood pointed at the apex of the turn. So But that's about it for this video. Just want to show you that it is possible to drift a car without a tune, but we'll show you how much a tune makes a difference if I could ever get away from these traffic cars that are smashing into me. So we'll show you how much the difference that makes in the next video with the tuning setup video. Be sure that you check that out. Like and subscribe if you're new around here, and be sure to check out some of my other videos. And we'll see you all in the next one.